Praise be Jesus Christ. Jesus made the disciples get into the boat. The Greek is even stronger. Jesus forced the disciples to get in the boat. At a certain point, you got to force the kids to go to bed. At a certain point in our life, we have to make ourselves click off our cell phones, click off the television, click off the busyness, and go to this still, quiet place where, like Elijah, we can hear the voice of the Lord speaking to us. There are many storms, and there are many roaring fires that distress us. But anchored in the still, quiet place of prayer, we attune ourselves to surrendering to the Lord. If we practice that regular forcing ourselves to find quiet, then when the storms come, then we will be able to see the Lord and hear his voice, and not what we think is his voice or what we want him to do. This has been quite a busy week away from I called it retreat because it was. The recreation was a beautiful, prayerful break to walk with the Lord, to come into the midst of three weddings, a funeral, and all kinds of other very serious issues, including this week that challenge that is growing because of this heartbreaking generation in which we live. We hear St. Paul saying, I wish that I myself were accursed and cut off from Christ for the sake of my own people, my kindred according to the flesh. He is speaking about his Jewish people, his brothers and sisters, wanting to, in just desperation for them, do what needs to happen for them to wake up. And ours is a malevolently silencing community that loves living in drama. And in the drama of a world that is struggling, instead of going to the Lord in quiet and peace, we go and think that we get to find places of compassion. That's what we call it, compassion and ease. This week, as a parish, we've been praying for a man from Watrous who had himself killed on Thursday with euthanasia. We prayed that he might open his eyes to God in a new way. He had been praying for a long time for a miracle from God, but then in the face of what was a terrible, in terms of health, diagnosis, he surrendered to that, and causing such consternation in parish and in community. I'm heartbroken that this is the place to which we have come. I would love to just rail and get really angry, because I am angry because of sadness. I think many of us are, at the way in which we think that we can boss the Lord around and take control of our lives, even to the point of allowing ourselves to be sucked into a culture that says that the way out of suffering is to just kill yourself, whether it is by binging on television, whether it is by numbing ourselves with pleasures of all different kinds, or ultimately by having ourselves killed. The life and death of each one of us has its effect on others. And I was really scandalized these last few days to see in the obituaries of the Saskatoon Star Phoenix, which still comes to me even though I've canceled my subscription. Why am I paying $450 a year to read empty propaganda against the church? But they still send it to me. And there was a picture of a couple. I don't know if you saw this, who for the first time, and they advertised it and they thanked the compassionate doctors of the mobile killing machine called medical assistance in dying. You have physicians that travel around. They'll come to your house, and they did for this couple. He was 77, she was 67, and they killed them both at the same time. And they talked about what a wonderful thing, and they even said, with the Lord's blessing. Now, if you don't have the quiet surrender to Jesus, then like Peter, when he confessed that Jesus was the Christ, and then immediately turned around and told Jesus how he was to be the Christ, then Satan can come in and even take the faith of the church and turn it into a mockery. Many of our Christian churches, any so-called Christian church that blesses euthanasia is satanic and has lost the faith. Any pastor that blesses such an action is one who has not been quiet and faithful to listening to the Lord. What was Peter's challenge? Peter's challenge was when he heard the voice of the Lord, he wanted to follow him, and he got out of the boat and followed him, and he could walk on water with the Lord. Just like our brother in Watrous was praying and keeping his eyes on the Lord. But as soon as Peter noticed the waves, as soon as Peter took his eyes off of Jesus, then he drowned. But he cried out, "Lord, save me." And that little faith was enough for Jesus to reach out and lift him up. Little faith. Do I have big faith? Do we possess that kind of big faith? Jesus says, little faith ones, you have me with you. Lift your eyes and see me. When you are tested, and actually the word is harassed and persecuted by the waves, see me. And you and I are here because we do. And like Peter the apostles with him, we bow before the one who has lifted us up out of the waters. And we worship him. And we say to Jesus, not to our will, not to the empty ideas that are around us, not to our own desires. We say to Jesus, truly, you are the Son of God.